So, if we extend back from our inner critic, the one that we talked about a couple of days ago, we head into the space of mind. So, our mind is the one that's sort of telling us things, perceiving life for us, is bringing thoughts into our inner sphere. And so, again, going into external sphere, inner sphere. So, we have this external life, which is made up of situations where we live, what we have, who's in our life, all the people, what kind of job we do, what kind of car we drive, what kind of home we live in, what kind of morality we have for the society we live in. Then there's this inner realm. In the inner realm, can sometimes look quite different from the external realm. A lot of it might be similar, but it's this inner realm that often allows us or even affords us the perception of the external world. And what I mean by that is you might see something very simple. Your mind might tell you a story about it as a thought or just a voice that shows up. And then you will then go on and on. So in example, say if someone actually did say something hurtful to you, they were angry and they were venting their anger and maybe even just blaming you for their anger. It's quite clear that if you have not actually hurt this person or said or done anything to this person, that their anger is not validated, right? So that's where we sit at. That's the simple truth, the real thing. However, mind will then pull from what we have perceived, what we believe ourselves to be. As children growing up, we've been told things, and then these become our stories. Our mind will then tell us those things. And that particular situation of person X was angry at me, and they vented their anger at me, and that made me feel hurt. But that's where it ended. The mind will tell us all kinds of stories. Maybe you should have done more. Maybe you should have yelled back. Maybe they're not good enough. They're awful people. No one should yell at somebody else. You should go back and hurt them. You should tell everybody about it. All of these mechanisms are coping mechanisms for that emotion that came up at that moment. But if you just took a couple of steps back and said to mind, I hear you. Thank you for being that first line, for trying to take care of my emotions. I'm going to sit back with my higher self. I'm going to sit back with my mentor, my inner mother, and you can come with me. And we're going to seek guidance there. We're going to see things for what they really are, for what they truly are, rather than all of these stories that we have believed about ourselves. In switching gears a little bit, and you may have heard this from many sources, it doesn't just come from me, is in reality, all a human wants, any human, is to feel loved. Now, growing up, we experience love through the caregivers around us. And now whether they have been open about love, some caregivers are quite good with physical expression of love. So a lot of holding, hugging, kissing, caring. Some are verbal, I love you, I care for you, I'm here for you. And some are neither of those. Some are both of those. So there's a lot of combinations that every human, every adult has grown up with as they've grown up with the caregivers around them. Now, these become our narratives of love. For example, for me personally, I was loved I felt loved when I was given attention, when I was praised, when I was given recognition. You're so great that you did this. You're such a good person because you did this. I've always equated that for love. And so that has become my pattern of love. If I do something good for someone else, they will love me. Love does not work like that. Love is just, it's the verb, it's the emotion, it's the feeling. It's completely unconditional. It's not dependent on anything that's done, anything that's given, any exchange that has happened. It is definitely an energy exchange between two people, but it's just that. It's not based on anything. Have you ever felt intense love for someone that you hate? Have you ever felt love for someone who has not treated you well? And haven't you then gone in and been belittled yourself or even said, why would you love someone who has been so terrible to you? It's because love is an energy force by itself. It's not attached to anything. So we can tell our children, I love you. And that is completely separate and not negotiable, never on the table when I'm trying to be a parent to you. As a parent, I will tell you what is right from wrong, what is socially acceptable, and how things can or cannot be, and how your life could be easier. As a parent, I'm that adult who can help you with that. As a child, they can still make a choice of whether they want to accept that or not. The beauty is the love that a parent feels for a child is never changed. It's never negotiable. It's never on the table. However, as humans, our social system makes us think that it is. And so if we could get those two things separate, whether it's a parent-child relationship, whether it's a friendship relationship, whether it's sibling relationship, whether it's a romantic lovers relationship, if we could get that clear, nothing that I do or say equates to love. I just love you. In the end, all humans want to feel loved. Now, I'm going to take this one step further, so bear with me. We want to feel loved, and we've been taught that we can only feel loved if someone on the outside loves us. This is the biggest lie ever. Yes, it feels great when someone in our external realm loves us. It feels fantastic. However, it's never complete, and it never will be complete, and it never will feel great, even if that person loves you and gives you beyond words of what they could, is because the true love that every human who is put on this earth seeks is one that comes from self. Once we self-love, we feel self-compassion for our humanness, for our emotions, for all our thoughts, our mind. We feel compassion for our spiritual self. We feel a lot of love and compassion for our physical body, which was built to feel hurt, which was built to feel pain, which was built to suffer, because it's impermanent, it dies. And that's when love grows. That's when we feel truly loved. And once we feel truly loved, we feel love for our hurting elbow or our hurting knees or our paining heart or maybe even a tumor or ulcer that we have in our body. Once we send intense love to that part of ourselves, that's when we become love. And that's when we can fully accept another human for being human and loving. And that's when that love exchange becomes real. That's when you truly feel loved because you're loving yourself and you're loving someone else, holding all of that humanness and really without judgment, applauding them for all that human story that they carry, and they still bring vulnerability and love to the surface.